The hardest part is not the fall. It's finding the strength to rise again.
In every grain of wood, I find pieces of myself and the strength to move forward.
Many years ago, I lost everything. All I had left were the shattered pieces of my past. I didn't know how to start over, how to find my way out of the darkness. But there's one thing I learned along the way. It's not about what you lose, but how you rise from the ashes. And maybe, just maybe, it was never meant to be easy. Some call it fate. Others call it failure. For me, though, it was just the beginning. The start of a journey I didn't choose, but one I had to walk. Have you ever felt like you've lost everything? That no one believes in you anymore? I remember the day my company collapsed. The only sound in that empty room was the hum of the ceiling fan, as if time was passing by, and no one was there to hear my heavy breath. I was all alone, just a shadow of myself in an empty room. Rico, he was the one I trusted, the one I gave my heart to. But in the end, he conspired with others and took everything. He stole the most important contract, cutting off my last chance. I lost everything, not just money, years of effort, but trust. Sitting there in the wreckage, all I could do was smile bitterly. I was wrong, so bitter. I could even hear the whispers behind my back. He's nothing now. He was never meant for greatness. Those words felt like another knife stabbing me. I wanted to pull my hair out, run away to some quiet valley to wallow in my sorrow. But then I asked myself, what good does suffering do? I realized I couldn't be weak. I had to show them all. Because it's not about what you lose, it's about how you rise from the ashes. Failure, betrayal, mockery. They're not the end. They're just stepping stones on a long road. If you don't learn to rise above them, you'll always be prey. But if you know how to turn them into strength, they'll become the steps that lift you higher. And that's what I did. They thought I was finished, but in reality, they didn't know a thing. 5 years later, my name appeared in a prestigious magazine, while many would give anything to even touch it. And the most surprised of them all? Rico. He didn't see what I had built from the ashes. When I met Kai, he didn't say a word. He just looked at me with a silent understanding. In that gaze, I realized silence is not weakness. It's hidden strength. I don't need to prove anything. Mockery, betrayal, they're just challenges. I just need to stand up and keep walking my path. They won't understand, but I'll show them. Do you know what I did to rise again? It's not a secret. It's a rule. The first rule to mastering the game is, turn their mockery into your greatest weapon. Have you ever felt like you're just going in circles with no results? When I started over, nothing changed. I woke up, worked, and worked again. Every day felt like yesterday. The raw wood, my tired hands, dust everywhere, but I couldn't quit. Elena looked at me and said, "You don't need to look for something grand. Just take small steps, and you'll see something big." I didn't get it at first, didn't care to think about it. There were nights I sighed, "This job seems to have no future." But with no other choice, I forced myself to be patient, bit by bit. Woodworking isn't easy. Every cut needs precision, and Kai, he just stood there, watching me every day. One day, Kai put his hand on my shoulder, pointed to a half-finished piece and said, "Don't expect anyone to see it. The important thing is that you see your own value in this work." I didn't understand at the time, but that phrase echoed in my mind. And then I realized patience was what I needed. Every time I carved into the wood, I didn't just see a dull task anymore. I saw myself being reborn. That's the lesson Kai taught me. And everything changed after a year. Clients began praising, recognizing the uniqueness of my work. I truly worked so hard, pouring sweat and tears into every piece. Many nights I stayed up late. I didn't just make wood, I poured my soul into it. I realized, when you love what you do, results naturally follow. A person who once didn't know hard labor now finds himself lost in it, forgetting time. After the storm, the sun came out. I learned to love the boredom, and while Rico remains lost in his mistakes, I became someone different, someone unstoppable. Because greatness doesn't come from sudden breakthroughs, but from repetitive actions, day in and day out. Have you ever wondered, what's the cost of betrayal? Looking back, I don't feel anything for Rico anymore. But he doesn't understand. The cost of betrayal is losing the people who truly trust you, losing respect for yourself, and ultimately being left with an empty shell. Rico's days aren't easy. He's living in his own mistakes, hiding behind his own shadows. I lost my company, but he lost himself. When I began rebuilding, he kept chasing the superficial things, short-term gains. One time, I saw him in a bank transaction room. He looked prosperous, but his eyes were shifty, glancing around like he was afraid of something. He wasn't the same person I once knew. After all I've been through, I learned an important lesson. Time will show who the truly strong ones are. Elena used to tell me, time will show you who's trustworthy. That phrase stuck with me. And then I realized, over the past year, I haven't just rebuilt my work, I've rebuilt myself. I learned to live patiently, not blaming, not resisting, but quietly moving forward. As for Rico, he's still living his life, while I, despite having nothing, am beginning to find the true value in every step I take. He may have everything, but he will never have the peace I have now. So, do you know what I did to rise again? It wasn't about winning. It wasn't about revenge. It was letting time speak for itself, and letting time, silently, make those who mocked me bow their heads. Have you ever wondered if forgiving can actually help you forget the pain? I used to think forgiveness was something noble, something for others to feel relieved. But then I realized, forgiveness isn't for them. It's for me, so I can move on without being held back by the past. Mockery, betrayal, those things once made me falter. But I've learned the most important lesson. Forgiveness isn't letting go, it's taking back control. Elena once told me, forgiveness is when you free yourself from the burden of others. That phrase stopped me in my tracks. I had held on to my pain for too long, and I realized I couldn't live with old wounds anymore. I forgave Rico. I forgave those who mocked me. This forgiveness, I said it loudly to myself, so my heart could be free. And when I forgave, I found a new strength. It wasn't in loud words, but in the silence inside me. And I began to see that this forgiveness was the gift I gave myself, so I could move on without any chains. And that night, after so long, I fell asleep with a smile on my face. Because after forgiving loudly, I learned how to move on silently. Life never gives us an easy path. But I've learned one thing. Hardships are not the end, but the beginning. When I rose from the ruins, I became a different person. A person who learned to love himself, found strength in the mundane days, and forgave not for others, but for myself. Because only when we are no longer held by the past can we truly be free. I know, Each of us has our own scars, our own wounds. But just like me, you too can rise, find your inner peace, and continue your journey. Great things are not built from big leaps, but from small, patient steps in the shadows of monotonous days. And if my story has touched your heart, I want to hear your story. Share it with me, because you never know, your story might be the light for someone who needs it. And if you feel that Mr. MD's journey is far from over, follow me. I hope you'll join me in exploring and finding the peace we all truly deserve.
I once thought I couldn't rise again, but now I see myself in every grain of this wood. When you find peace within yourself, the world around you changes forever.